Hey, what's happening everybody? My name is Jamie Dean and welcome to another episode of Collecting Retro. Today I'm going to be having a look at one of my favourite games on the Nintendo 64, one of the biggest, probably the biggest selling, most widely loved, most widely recognised game on the system, but I think even more so than that, it's a game that's just sort of transcended that system and become one of the most iconic video games of all time, and that is the much beloved Goldeneye 007. Alright, so here we are, Goldeneye, all out of its box protector, ready for us to take a bit of a look through. Now, I can't believe I never saw this, right? That, you know that, like I've since seen the meme of like, this hand of Pierce's looking like an extension of his face and mouth. And it's one of those things that once you've seen it, you just can't ever unsee it. Like, that's just his face now. For me, and that's completely fucking ruined this cover for me forever. So thanks very much, internet, for that. That's fantastic. I can't look at that without seeing like this weird fucking deformed frog mouth. But there's that iconic cover. This is my copy that I've picked up fairly recently. In quite good condition, I think. There's a few, you can see there's a bit of a crease here, there's a bit of a crease up here, a bit of a bash on the corner. But as I've said many times on this channel, I'm not a mint in box collector by any means. I actually prefer the boxes to have a little bit of love on them. There's Pierce on the top. We'll go around, what we've got here. The Aston. Whoop. Running away from an explosion and not looking back at it. And Bond and Natalia. There's the back. You are Bond. James Bond. Nice screenshots on this one too, actually. Like these sometimes you think like, why do they put those particular screenshots on the back of the box? But I think in this one, they've done a good job. Although they have done like, like you go through a range of different environments and things in Goldeneye, but pretty much all of these screenshots are inside a Russian facility. You know, they could have done like the tank, the dam, statue, out in the snow. There's a lot of sort of, I don't know. I get it that a lot of the Goldeneye levels do look like this, but I feel like there's more level variety than just that, and maybe they could have shown that. But they are nice screenshots. Also, interestingly enough, not a no 4-player split screen screenshot on the back of the box, which is obviously, you know, one of the things Goldeneye is most well known for. Alright, let's crack it open and see what's inside. So this is all original inside, original insert. So we've got the insert there. We've got the cartridge. Ooh. Really good condition cartridge. I was really happy with this one. Nice and clean, not a scratch on it. Really nice. And then we have our manual, our all-important manual. You can see there's a bit of a mark on it there, I think. But other than that, it's in pretty good condition. If this will focus. Hopefully that's focusing. I'll move all this to the side. We'll have a flip through this manual. So Goldeneye, you know, uncontroversially, I think one of the best games on the Nintendo 64. A very important game in gaming, just in general, in terms of first-person shooters on the console. We'd seen a couple of first-person shooters on console before Goldeneye. Things like Doom 64 is one that comes to mind. But I think Goldeneye, you know, well and truly... It didn't birth a genre, but it certainly defined that genre for a long, long, long time. It becomes something of a roadmap for, you know, I don't think we would have things like Halo without Goldeneye. You know, I don't think that's a big stretch to say. Things like Call of Duty on console, if we didn't have Goldeneye before them. It certainly set a template. And it's certainly a game that I loved very, 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 very much. Like, this is, you know, again, uncontroversially, I think, a lot of people's favorite game on this particular genre, on that particular console, sorry, and probably in that particular genre. All right, let's have a look through this manual. Let's see what we got going on in here. Hopefully this is seeable, viewable, readable. There's old Pierce in the, what was the fucking thing called at the end of the movie? The last level. The satellite dish. But that's not what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it looks like a shot of him from that scene. Alright, so we got our regular Nintendo 64 controller setup and how to use it. There's old Pierce looking suave. Alright. Alright, 007, it's time to get down to business. Sometime I haven't got my glasses on, by the way, so you can probably read this better than I can. Pirate, a top-secret combat helicopter was hijacked from a French war vessel in Monte Carlo. Pirate was stolen by Xenia Onatop. Fucking Bond names, man. Onatop. She was assisted by several mysterious comrades. Xenia, a former Soviet pilot, is a known accomplice of the Janus Syndicate, an international organization that is world-renowned for its dealings in top-flight illegal arms. They are currently based in St. Petersburg, Russia. We won't read the whole thing. Alright, there's the default control scheme. Taking a look at the main menu. What's such a weird main menu, isn't it? Like, especially looking back at it. Like, it just sort of throws you into the game. And there's, you know, you have your little intro cinematic and you hit start. And the next thing you see is just a screen with 4 folders on it. 4 blank folders. And a target reticule that you can move around. Like, no like start game, no start mission, no option, no nothing. Just 4 folders. It's such a weird. Is it just me, or is that like a bizarre main menu? I think it's so strange, really, really odd. But we can create a game file, copying a game file, erasing a game file. I mean, I'm assuming if you read the, you read the manual, you took the time to actually stop and read the manual, you'd know exactly what you're doing. But I never read them. The only time I read game manuals was when I didn't have access to the game. I took them with me and I'd sit there and read them when I couldn't actually play the game. But if I had the option to play the game, I just dove right in and fuddled my way around. So had I read the manual, I would have known exactly what to do. It wasn't hard to figure out, but it's just such a bizarre, I don't know, just one of those weird little oddities. I did like this though, like the whole, when you do choose the dossier, the way that like the whole mission prep is like you're flicking through a dossier and getting all the information. That was a really cool touch. And in that, retroactively, that makes a lot of sense, but it's, I don't know, it's still just a weird thing to load into a game and just be met with that, It's like, what the fuck do I do here? So you select a mission, select a difficulty level. Man, 00 Agent on Goldeneye it could get rough, I thought, real rough, especially, fucking the second bunker, which I played recently. I had such a hard time with that level just on Secret Agent. I know it's a notoriously difficult level. I actually don't know how you finish that level on 00. Like, I don't see how it's actually possible. It must be. You must just have to be better than me, I suppose, with my old eyes and old skills. But it was rough, man, far out. And a lot of the levels could get rough on 00. It was like such a significant step up in not just what you had to do in a level, but just the amount of damage that things did, amount of damage that enemies could take, could soak up. There's all the background, all the different missions. M gives you a briefing. Q branch gives you a briefing of any gadgets that you might have. See, all this was really cool. Even like in the manual, you can see like it's like been laid out like a dossier, even in the manual itself, which is pretty cool. Moneypenny gives you some info. Your objectives, again, that would change based on difficulty level. Usually, Agent, you just had to do one thing and get to the end, but they got increasingly more and more difficult. And that was really like a new thing with Goldeneye. Like, we hadn't really seen anything like that before Goldeneye came around, like it was, you think about the types of first-person shooters that existed before Goldeneye. It was like Doom 2 and Doom and Quake 2 and Unreal Tournament and you know, stuff like that, Wolfenstein, where there was no real, like, objectives. You know, you were just trying to match colored keys to doors to progress, really, and kill everything. So, objectives, really, were something brand new to the genre. And maybe, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were other first-person shooters, console shooters that had objectives that you had to complete. But these were, like, even so, I felt like these were really specific, you know, like saving a certain amount of scientists, or like rigging a bomb somewhere, or stealing something, or hacking a mainframe, or uploading a satellite link somewhere. And you had, you know, there was no real information on where these things were, so you had to trawl through the entire levels trying to find them, and you know, hope you sort of came across them. It was just such a cool thing that had never really been done in that way before, that I'm aware of anyway. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Goldeneye was one of the first times we really ever saw objectives in a first-person shooter, which is, you know, is just commonplace now. But, you know, it all really kind of stemmed from this. Mission status, abort mission. Oh, this is the watch. We have to, like, plant it onto your face to actually, like, read it, and everybody else just stops and goes, well, he's using his watch. He's using his watch. Just wait. Oh, so funny. It was a cool pause menu though. Look at Pierce there, suave as fuck. Did you guys play the game before the movie like I did? I played the game well and truly, like, several years before I saw the film. And so Goldeneye, like, when you think of Goldeneye, my mind goes to the game, not to the movie. And I think it's probably the case of a lot of people who grew up in the same sort of age as me, grew up in that generation, who had access to this, in all likelihood would have been exposed to Goldeneye the video game and not even necessarily known that it was based on a movie. I certainly didn't. And then when I saw the movie, wasn't that crazy? Like, seeing all the levels that you knew, that you've been playing for years in all likelihood, seeing them all there on, like, in a movie, like, you know, when Pierce, like, drops down into the toilets in the facility. Good night. That was crazy. Really, really cool. When he's driving the tank around, you know, like, all those things that you've seen and done, and then you're watching it actually be done on film, was wild, to me anyway. All the different control schemes talking about here, the way you can configure control. I never messed around with that, really, I don't think. I think I just played on whatever the default was. I tend to do that in games, rather than... I'm not much of an options junkie, you know. Like, a lot of people will load up a game and the first thing they do is go into the options and customize key layouts. If I've got a mouse, for example, on a PC, I want grenades on a mouse button. But that's about the extent of my customizing, you know. Like, I just kind of roll with it and learn to play it as is. And that was certainly the case back here, so I don't think I ever fiddled around with the control schemes. The general options... Mission objective screens talking about down here. Oh, here we go. The Bond Arsenal. Can I get this up a bit closer? Throwing knife, fighting knife. What was the fighting knife? I can't remember the fighting knife. I remember the throwing knives. PP7, the Dostovi. Or the Dostovi, as I used to call it as a kid. I don't know which is the... Dostovi sounds more correct. The Magnum. The Spider. The Spider! I don't have any memory of the Spider. ZMG. The D5K. Deutsch. Probably butchering that. The Phantom. Oh, the Phantom was a good gun. The KF7. The Workhorse. The one you'd have in every mission. Assault Rifle. The P90, man. Ah, the P90 was a banger. That was the fucking cream of the crop, the P90. The grenade launcher, my favorite multiplayer gun. I love the way you could just, like, it just became a game in and of itself, trying to, like, bounce grenades around corners and through doorways and things. I love the grenade launcher. Rocket launcher, as much of a detriment to yourself as anybody else. Sniper rifle, grenades, remote mines. Ugh, remote mines. Learning, do you remember learning that you could trigger a remote mine in mid-air if you hit A and B together at the same time? I think it was A and B, right? Like, fuck, the first time you learn that, it's like game changer. Total game changer. All the different gadgets. Not really that many when you look at them like this. We are Pierce and Sean. 006 was like a fucking great bad guy. You know, it's like the it's like anything that makes like a villain out of, you know, like the anti version of the hero, like Spider-Man and Venom, for example, right? Like that was kind of like what went on here. Like it's 006 is the villain. It's another 00 agent. And that was just awesome, I thought. Really cool. One of my favorite Bond villains. Game over! Too many hits from unfriendly fire could prove fatal. It will also mean game over. If this happens, you'll return to the background screen where you will have another crack at the mission. Make sure to pick up the body armor. Well, the body armor won't make you invincible. It could give you the protection you need to complete a mission. Thanks, Manuel. Friends, enemies, and villains. Multiplayer game. Now we're in it. Yeah, baby. Now, like, this is where everyone's memory... Like GoldenEye had a banger campaign. I love GoldenEye's campaign. Again, well before I even saw the film. Still thought it was a fantastic campaign. Really fun. Really nice, open, approachable levels that you could tackle in a multitude of different ways. Sort of make your way through them. But the multiplayer is like what this game is famous for, right? And... oh, how many hours with friends or at sleepovers and all that sort of thing did we pour into GoldenEye? And when you got sick of like using the different presets for the levels, you'd make up your own rules. Oh, so good. Up to 4 players. So crazy back in the day. 4-player shooter on the same console. Here we go. 8 different game scenarios. What do we got there? Normal. You only live twice. The Living Daylights. Oh, I remember the Living Daylights. Whoever has the flag longest is the winner. The Man with the Golden Gun. Sudden Death. Oh. So good. License to Kill, which was like super sudden death. No matter, didn't regulate you to just a single shot pistol, but just like anything you had, if you got hit, you were dead. And then all the team variants. Chose your level, some bangers. What was my favorite multiplayer level? I love the facility. That was definitely one of my favorite multiplayer levels. I really, really like the facility. I hated the temple to start with. What a weird addition that is too. Like, not in the movie anywhere. Just, we're going to chuck the temple in here randomly. I hated that level to start with, but I ended up quite liking it towards the end of the game's lifespan. It had the big hole in the floor. The archives, I really liked the archives for multiplayer as well. I think the facility and the archives were probably my two favorites for multiplayer. Game length. Characters, weapons. Choose your weapons. Health. Got your little character select screen there. Remember that. Fucking odd job. Tips for success. Let's see the tips for success in multiplayer. Some weapons that normally fire a short burst of bullets will fire a single shot when using the aim. The single shot will be more accurate than a burst because the weapon's recoil spoils your aim when you fire continuously. Throwing knives can be thrown more quickly if you prepare yourself. What does that even mean? If you prepare yourself? I think it means like if you hit the button at just the right time, you can sort of like, you could chain them together, right? But it doesn't explain that in here. It just says if you prepare yourself. Okay. Some of the high power weapons are able to shoot through objects, including doors. Yes, I remember that. Leaning is ideal when under heavy fire. Stand behind a corner or column, then lean out left or right and fire off a few rounds. I forgot leaning was in. I mean, the fucking multiplayer was so hectic and chaotic and just run and gun, run and gun, run and gun, go, 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 go. At least, you know, when I played it in the groups of friends that I played it with, it was not a slow, methodical, drawn-out firefight sort of thing. I don't even remember ever using leaning or even... Did I know? I think I knew it was in the game, but it didn't ever play a factor into our multiplayer games. And that is it. Caution, warning, and your warranty. But there we go. Goldeneye. Like, man, where's the box? What a banger. Here we are. Such an amazing game. Like, obviously one I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to have so many memories of for so many years. Yeah, just an absolute, like, just a staple. It was really like a mainstay staple of the console. Like, if you had friends that you could invite over and play games with, and you had a Nintendo 64, there was every chance in the world that you also owned Goldeneye, right? Like, it was just one of those absolute multiplayer beacons, like a pillar of that. And yeah, just so many good memories. Such a good game. So if you played Goldeneye, if you owned it back in the day, make sure you drop down the bottom and give us a comment. Let me know some of your favorite memories from playing the game, maybe some of your favorite missions from the single player campaign, some of your memories from playing multiplayer and how you went about that, maybe some of the invented game modes that you came up with after your 300th hour in the game, trying to maintain its longevity. They were often some of the most fun that you had with the game, was coming up with your own your own gentleman's agreement rules. Yeah, just a real gem of a multiplayer game, and like I said at the start, like a pillar of I think one of those landmark titles when you're talking about, I think, gaming in general, but certainly when you're talking about console gaming. GoldenEye changed the landscape for quite a long time to come, and yeah, I loved every second of it. Really, really good. That's going to do it from me. I hope that was enjoyable. I hope that was a nostalgic little walkthrough. One of my favorite games on the Nintendo 64. Hopefully one of yours as well. And yeah, like I said, if you've got any memories around it, make sure you drop down and share them with us. But other than that, that's going to do it from me, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out. My name has been Jamie Dean, and as always, make sure you keep on side-scrolling. Take it easy.